When we first start to garden, our first consideration should be the soil. Let's meet a gardener who utilizes several methods to build soil. All pretty simple and all using natural resources that most overlook. This is just not ordinary logs, is it?
Well, yes, it's just cedar logs and things I've got to frame this.
Yeah.
It's called a hugelkultur bed, and I built this about close to 5 years ago. So this bed is about a little better than 3 foot deep, everything. I mean, even though the logs look like it's just 18 or 20 inches deep, the ground goes on down. Yeah, because when you do lasagna gardening or hugelkultur gardening, after a couple of years, the ground loosens underneath, and the ground loosens. You'll go on down where it was hard ground, and it'll just keep getting better and better.
Yeah.
And this soil here is just like that.
Oh, I'm envious.
And I put age logs in here, and then cover it with the soil and compost, and those logs hold moisture. So this bed never gets watered except when the good Lord waters it.
That's exactly right. It's just a replica of our trees in our forest and how they fall on the ground. And
Exactly, and I garden and try to grow things just like nature provided, see.
Yes.
I grow as organic as I can. I don't use any commercial fertilizers, no chemicals.
Fascinating. And so you've actually done some study. It just doesn't happen overnight. That
I've got a library.
That's exactly right. And you know, we talk about lasagna, we think that's food. Well, it is. This lasagna is food for plants, isn't it?
That's right. The first thing, my motto is, you feed your soil will feed the plants.
That's true. Well, I know that you have a variety of spring, summer, and now you're into fall with your gardening.
Yes. We've got the turnip greens over here, 2 beds of turnip greens.
Yes.
I'm still growing beans, green beans and all.
I'm amazed at what I've already seen.
We've got carrots over here, got celery, which I've been just about gone now. Of course, we've got the knuckle hull purple peas here.
Look at that.
That's called a knuckle hull purple pea.
That is very interesting. Knuckle hull. Okay, now then.
And this is another type of green bean right here.
Oh, is that the Italian bean?
No, it's called, let's see which one I've got. I grow so many beans, I have to keep them. This is a soldier bean.
A soldier bean?
Because when you break them open, the inside of the bean will look like a little toy soldier.
Tom, give us a rundown of what you have planted, starting at the marigolds.
Okay, got the marigolds right on this side. We had Aroma 2 beans, green beans. That's the second crop of those this year. Come right on up from it, we got the dragon's tongue, green beans.
That's neat to me.
And they're a beautiful, real good tasting bean. Then we come back down, I got Swiss chard, and then we got the Henderson small limas.
Oh, my favorite. And then all these peppers.
And then the peppers, of course, the winds kind of hurt them, you know. But we got the sweet peppers, these sweet banana peppers and red bell peppers, green bell peppers.
Yes, and then
we come in here with my second crop or third crop of summer squash.
And you know what? I see not one insect, and it's just beautiful. And then I really love how you put this red dahlia down here. It's just so bright, and the green of this squash is just aesthetically pleasing.
And it helps for beneficial insects.
Yes, and now we're getting into something I can say I don't really know that I've ever seen a crop of red potatoes in the fall.
I do this every year.
Okay, now when did you plant these?
In June, about the middle of June.
Okay, and you're gonna harvest soon. Can you gravel for them now?
Probably, well, yeah, they'll have little small potatoes in there now. You'll have little that you can cook in your green beans.
Yeah, and are they blooming?
They have been blooming.
That's a good sign, isn't it?
When you have blooms, you've got small potatoes.
Okay, now you've got all this richness going in here. How are you feeding this soil?
I use, I don't use any chemicals. I use no commercial fertilizer. I do use blood meal, I use bone meal, and cottonseed meal.
I know all about it.
Okay, and I do use a lot of Epsom salts.
Okay, and then you do some trenching?
Trench composting. That's where I'll take my food scraps that I use from the house, you know, no meat. It's got to be all veggie.
Yeah.
And I just make a trench in here, and then I'll put, and you don't have to have a big trench. I might have a 4 foot long trench, and I'll put all this in there and cover it up.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks' time, you can dig down and it's done in dirt. And you'll have millions of worms. I have tons of worms.
And nothing like that type, the worm castings for fertilizer.
I'll show you that in a little bit.
Okay.
I do worm farming too.
All right. Well, and I know why you're going to have successful carrots and potatoes, because you've got nice loose soil. And this right here looks to me like sweet potatoes.
That's just sweet potatoes, and they'll soon be ready to dig here pretty soon.
Well, how do you store yours?
I dry them, and I got a inside store. I wrap them in. I like to wrap them in newspaper. Each one.
potato in newspaper.
Yeah, you can wrap. It don't take that long, you know.
Yeah.
And keep them where they're dry.
Well, I see you're a master of grapes.
Yeah, we like that's the Concord grapes, and then down toward the end, I've got the red seedless grapes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can't help but notice the spotlight in this garden. Do you take that plant in the wintertime?
No. I take and.
Angel trumpet.
When I cut it down, of course, I'll take cuttings and give people because they like, you can grow them from cuttings. And I'll cut it all the way down to the ground, and I'll mulch it, about 6 or 8 inches of mulch on it, or straw or anything like that. And it's been there for about 4 or 5 years now.
And do butterflies and bees like that?
Yeah, they love it.
Okay.
Okay, the wood chips I get from the power companies when they trim the trees and everything, and I use a lot of them. That's what I put down in the pathways. I don't want to use it on the beds, because they're still green.
That's right.
And they'll pull nitrogen out. So I'll use it all on my pathways, all here and all in back of my permaculture garden back here. And then in a year's time, I can take this and put it up on the beds, because it'll be.
That's right. And you've got an advantage here. A lot of people, when it rains, they can't get in their garden. So you are a very frugal gardener.
Well, I try to be.
You're taking everything from nature, putting it back into your garden, and I see that feeding you.
This is all kale. I've got 2 kinds of kale. I've got spinach right here coming up. Mustard greens. Now mustard greens I grow, we like mustard greens. We mix them in with our turnip greens when we cook them a lot of times.
That's good.
And but mustard greens is a real good green crop. Yeah, all this I grow. That's why I grow so many greens and beans, because it's good for your soil. It feeds the soil. And because it draws nitrogen out, and this here's a green crop. Your beans will have nitrogen, it puts in the soil.
Well, I see you have these nice wires. Will you cover this with a cloth for winter?
I might if it gets down so cold, but after these gets up, I had this on here because I put shade. I also got shade cloths that I use, mesh, and I put that on there to keep, when I first sow something, to keep the birds and squirrels from scratching around in them, see.
Is this all lasagna, or do you have?
It's all lasagna bed with logs underneath it, and this bed will probably be about 30 inches deep. The soil will go down.
Do you mind if I take my hand and go
right
down
ahead.
into your soil?
Go right ahead.
Well, I want to just see, because they say
you want it like chocolate cake.
That's exactly right.
Cake.
When you've got your soil right, all you got to do is just take your hand and dig a hole.
That's right.
That is just black dirt, black gold. That is just beautiful.
I never use a rototiller. I own a rototiller, but I only bought it when I bought this new lot back behind me to break up the first time. I never use I've got some hand tools. I like the Korean hoe, H-O-E hoe.
Yes.
That I use.
I've seen one of those.
I've got 2 of them. But see, you can dig. I see right here.
Oh, I see. Can I take some home with me?
Sure you can.
Tom, before me, what is this?
This is my worm farming that I do.
How many worms could you get in this farm?
Oh, you can get probably 1,000 or more, and there's probably that many in there. They make worm poop.
Yeah, I know it. Worm castings.
Worm castings, and it's just full of young worms and hard to catch. Sometimes they'll go all the way to the bottom. You can see them right in here.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: so after you can see them, do you take them and put them in your garden, or do you leave them in here to make the castings?
No, I just leave them in here to make castings. Of course, I've got a lot of worms in the garden that's making their own castings, but I just like doing this.
You go fishing
what I
with
do,
them?
I will use this when I plant my tomatoes. I'll take a handful and put it in the tomato hole, see.
And so this just kind of decomposed, doesn't it?
Yeah, they love that. They love those old newspapers and stuff like that, see.
Well, now
I use coffee grounds in it, and when I do my juicing in the mornings with my vegetables, I take the remains from that, and it goes right in there.
Well, let me ask you this: is this something that you made up because it's riddled with holes?
Yeah.
And it's just a container for storage.
That's right. I bought that at Walmart.
And you just put all those holes in there.
Put little holes in there, 1/8 inch.
So you put those same holes.
Yeah, put the holes around the edge, about 1 inch or so below the lid.
Yeah.
I put, these are 1/8 inch, and I put 1/4 inch holes in the bottom.
Okay.
The drainage.
And then, today it's raining.
Yeah, I put this over it. But
Yeah.
they can breathe. Worms got to breathe, so they can breathe in that.
Well,
and they like dark. That's really you want to get a dark.
And you leave it right here all the time, or do you just move it out?
Well, in the wintertime, I move it in where it's a little warmer. They like 60 to 70 degree weather. They told me that.
We're centered in the middle of
A permaculture gardening.
Okay, explain that.
Okay, permaculture is where you grow just like nature provides it. Where you grow, converse a lot of different plants here. In other words, I have celery coming up here. I've grown potatoes back over here.
I see raspberries right here.
I've got raspberries over here, back in here. And you grow just a lot of different varieties of everything, flowers, plants, and everything. Just like you was out in the woods right here.
So the permaculture, you don't really come in here and weed.
Yes, I have to
You
do some weeding.
You have to do
some weeding.
Because if you don't, then the weeds will take over your plants.
Just like this hasn't been weeded yet, but I will be weeding it.
Yeah.
I have weeded it back over in here.
So you're kind of saying let everything take its course.
I've got a lot of, there's always a lot of birds. We even have raccoons in here.
Oh.
We had deer in here. They like my blackberry plants over here. But we have all kinds of animals. And
it's a diverse.
That's right.
It's a situation of diverse plants.
They stay out of my big main garden, so I built this for them. And of course I have roses here. I've got blueberries back over here, blueberry bushes right behind here.
And I just see buddleias, everything. I can't tell you what my eyes is feasting on the candy of your garden.
Spring and summer, it really looks good. There's a lot of color back here.
Right here, who could miss this?
The autumn joy.
And I love when the bumblebees sit on that. You have several of these huge, beautiful buddleias here. They're wonderful for your winged friends, aren't they?
That's your butterfly bushes right here.
Right. Today, I have learned so much from you, and it's just, I know how much more we haven't learned that you do know, and I thank you because you are preserving your ground, your seeds, and yourself.
Thank you.
And thank you for your knowledge.
Thank you.
For inspiring garden tours, growing tips, and garden projects, visit our website at volunteergardener.org or on YouTube at the Volunteer Gardener channel, and like us on Facebook.